that is again the end of the Champions League, because all the doors of the Champions League comes to a halt whether you are at the top of your league. But when that burst from the Los Blancos sparks, it is all the end of football. And to talk about more, Ancelotti has again proved that he is the man who relies on his players' individuality rather than going on a particular set of instructions for his players to be playing. Because in the post-match conference, Ancelotti has said that it is something which Real Madrid is cooking. But Simeone, on the other hand, has finally said that it is maybe the hope of no goal opens the door for what's to come. It is Simeone who was lacking in this game, but I have seen many saying in their videos that Real Madrid didn't perform well. My God, this game, there was no tactics in it. This game, there was a simple gameplay which Ancelotti implemented it so good, just allowing his individuality into the gameplay to be taken by his elite players. The game all started with the absence of Bellingham not available because of those suspensions. Oh my God, that was a big one. It was also the unavailability of Ceballos. Oh my God, Vallejo was the other man who was also on those injuries. Adding more to that, Militao and Carvajal have been on those big injuries a lot of time for so many months. And from the likes of Roger Blancos, Atletico, Aspilicueta and Koke were the two men injured. But that first 3.5 minute goal, Valverde, I mean, who could have just guessed that it is Valverde who is going to get those crosses to Rodrigo in just 3.5 minutes? It was Atletico Madrid still confident that they have got those in those counters. But starting from our predictions, we have made that it was the likes of Xavi Galán and Llorente where Kylian Mbappe or Vinicius Junior or Rodrigo were going to be happening. But Simeone made a critical mistake in the starting lineup. He was aware that Bellingham is on a suspension, Ceballos is on a suspension. It is either the likes of Camavinga and Tchouaméni starting in the mid-pitch, or it is the likes of Modric and Tchouaméni will be there in the starting lineups. But then also he went for that same De Paul, Barrios, Simone, Lino in the mid-pitch to be happening. What was the unavailability, whether it was Riquelme, whether it was the likes of Gallagher, or whether it was the likes of Lee Normand on the centre backs? Because if he was going to defend like that, because in most of the times it was Llorente seen staying down on his own block in the defensive aspects, whereas Xavi Galán was the man who was making those offensive runs at times. But Samuel Lino was the man who was looking bad down in form. But the brilliance of Valverde, which opted for it, Atletico Madrid were looking to pinpoint that deficiency from Real Madrid, that in their super backs, from the left backs and the right backs, they are going to hinder. Mendy, on the other hand, it was Simeone, Junior Simeone, who couldn't overtook Mendy at times, and it was also Samuel Lino who was missing that against Valverde. It is again Ancelotti bringing in those individuality, but the most critical part is that the referee Clement Turpin was again being appointed for the fixtures of Real Madrid this season in the Champions League. It was in the Manchester City at Etihad, the first leg which was played. Clement Turpin had made those big decisions in favor of the Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola couldn't just capitalize it. But in this game, to talk about this referee Clement Turpin, he did a decent job, I would say. There was some sort of fall from Rodrigo inside the box. He could have given a penalty, he could have given a card, but he didn't went for those. Instead, in this game, he just gave 2 yellow cards. One was for Brahim Diaz and another was for the Real Madrid officials on these sidelines. That is what he went for. And everything started just on that 3rd minute after that goal. It was the game in the Champions League which Atletico Madrid were facing Los Blancos. In the past 4 fixtures, that was all in the La Liga, where the Madrid derby was not coming to a win. All the way it was going to the draws. It was Atletico Madrid and Los Blancos. The likes of Roger Blancos and Los Blancos both were coming to the draws, and we couldn't able to find any conclusion out of those past 3 fixtures between these 2 Madrid teams. But in this Champions League, it has been the past 4 times where Atletico Madrid, the Roger Blancos, has failed to get past the likes of Real Madrid, Los Blancos. It is big disheartening for Diego Simeone, because he has been constructing this team for quite a long time, full of Argentine players, full of Spaniards, and full of those French players. Only one Brazilian man, Samuelino, is there in the squad. Apart from that, all are from his own choice, and he has been building it good. But Jimenez and Lenglet on the centre backs, they were doing a decent job, no denying the fact. It was the goal from Rodrigo which happened. Rodrigo made those runs against Xavi Galán. Xavi Galán was the man who is seen most of the times. He is succumbing to the pace of the wingers, but then also Simeone has those good instincts with Galán, and he has chosen him. But if it was Reinildo, would that have happened to be a game winner moment for the Los Blancos? But everything again turned, because it was that goal from Brahim Diaz. It happened. It was Brahim Diaz getting that so good in the second half, but on the 32nd minute of the first half, it was Julian Alvarez getting those goals. Camavinga definitely had a fall, but after that fall, he didn't went for those overlapping runs. But Julian Alvarez, who could have imagined that he is going to get that goal? It was nowhere from my predictions. It was nowhere to be seen. Anyone have been telling that Julian Alvarez will be getting that goal from that angle, but it was that moment which happened. It is the Champions League mentality. It is that muscle memory which played in him. And this man, Julian Alvarez, he has been consistently not being given those starting lineup at Manchester City from Pep Guardiola. That was something Pep Guardiola left him for such a long time, and he rather opted for moving to Atletico Madrid because he has to play those Champions League. And he again proved it is those muscle memories who are sticking to those cold nerves still in those pressure moments in the Champions League fixtures. Had this game be some sort of a La Liga game, a Copa del Rey, or some side of Super Copas, it could have been a different result. But in the Champions League, talking about Real Madrid, they have been doing it good. Yes, there is the second leg also coming on, but the second half goal which Brahim Diaz got, it was again seen that Jimenez, the man who was succumbing to the pressure, Brahim Diaz was also feeling that pressure because his feet, the movement of his both legs were not that balanced. But that imbalance on his two legs made Jimenez to fall. That is something which Champions League muscle memory is in your nerves, boys. It is again talking. And again, that individual brilliance from the likes of Brahim Diaz made it to happen. But then also there were some sort of opportunities for Diogo Simeone, man, because against Barcelona, they have got those equalizers of 4 goals, equalizing to Barcelona in that La Liga game. What is that going to happen? Oh my God. It was the substitutions Ancelotti made, Camavinga dropping in, Modric coming in. Both Camavinga and Modric are not in best of their forms, but Ancelotti sticking to it because he had no other options in the mid-pitch. But what was that substitution from the likes of Simeone? He bringing in Junior Gennaro Simeone into the sidelines and bringing Gallagher. That was a bit understandable that he needs those midfield movements to be happening. But in the final thirds, in the final fourths, what was that? Atletico Madrid was losing it time and again. Sam Molino was again substituted and Molina coming in. Griezmann was substituted, Lee Normat coming in. What is that? It is those centre back, it is those right backs which Simeone was making those substitutions and dropping down their forwards. Was they trying to get it more into their defensive half from the 70th minutes? But again, Pablo Barrios on those 75th minutes was those substitutions, and their super sub Angel Correa, the man who has been staying at the Roger Blancos for such a long time, comes into those existence, and Sorloth coming in. But what was those winger opportunities which they were getting it? But it was the likes of Valverde time and again stopping those far pole positions from Atletico Madrid where they were getting those opportunities, those crosses, those through balls which were made. But Valverde was stopping it. But Valverde back from his injuries into the starting lineup on the 82nd minute from the likes of Ancelotti was again given those substitutions. And Lucas Vazquez was brought in. My God, my hands and my eyes were just down to those pity moments because I thought that it is now the likes of Atletico Madrid, they are going to get those equalizers or they are going to get those wins as well because Vazquez compared to Valverde would have been a no-no situation and Atletico Madrid could have exploited that. But it was Ancelotti who was bit clinical in it because the likes of those wing forwards were not substituted and the likes of Simeone not going with the likes of Riquelme and not going with the likes of Thomas Lemma on the pitch. How was that going to happen? Because Griezmann was also not there. It was that sole presence of Alvarez who was staying. It was the likes of Angel Correa and Sorloth we're going to make that. It was that mid-pitch which they were mostly sticking to, and Los Blancos gets that win. In the second leg also, the same thing is happening, and all the fans of the Los Blancos Real Madrid, Hala Madrid guys, we have got it. But there is long more to go in the Champions League. Still, it is not that big win, but whenever Ancelotti has his bus ready with his players, whether they are the injuries or not, it was Bellingham who was missing it. But in the Champions League stats, it is Bellingham is the player who is having most tackles won for Real Madrid in the Champions League this season. I mean, I'm talking about just the Champions League. It is Bellingham, their midfield player, who has got those maximum tackles in his stats. It is not those centre backs, it is not those defensive midfields from Ancelotti who has got those big stats. But the next picture, it is definitely going to be the likes of Los Blancos and Atletico Madrid. But Los Blancos, the choker moments for them, they have been choking it. In the previous season, it was against Inter Milan. They tried to get some makeover into it. They finally got it. But this season, it is not going to be that way. But Real Madrid with this Diaz Turner has settled this first leg. The second leg, whether it is going to be a draw or not, whether it is going to be a 2-2, whether it is going to be the penalties or not, but it is going to be Los Blancos because of those muscle memories and Ancelotti time and again sticking to the individuality of the players rather than going for a particular gameplay for a particular team. Apart from that, it was also the likes of Club Brugge and Aston Villa. Aston Villa finally has got that win over Club Brugge, but in this season, Club Brugge has defeated Aston Villa. The second leg will be at the Villa Park. What is that going to be? But the most disheartening was in the Bundesliga, Dortmund and the likes of Lille from the French. They got those 1-1 draw and Signal Iduna Park. Dortmund has been seen recovering from the likes of their manager who has been brought now, Niko Kovac, doing it good. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But Arsenal, with so many of their forwards injured, got a historic score of 7-1. I mean, when was that last time I've seen Arsenal scoring those 7 goals? And that too in the Champions League. 2 years back, Arsenal was seen playing the Europas, and now they're in the Champions League for the past 2 seasons. And against PSV Eindhoven, that top team from the Dutch league, they have been humiliated bad at their own home. Arsenal with a 7-1 in the second leg. PSV Eindhoven going to travel to the Emirates, at the Arsenal to the Gunners home to get that second leg. Will they go or not? Is that a big question on my mind? And on the other hand, and Inter Milan is also upcoming. PSG and Liverpool, as well as the likes of Bayern and Leverkusen, as well as Benfica and Liverpool. We will be having the watch along of that also late night on our watch along streams. But the predictions of all these matches have been just made, and the video has been uploaded on the vlog section. If you have missed it, just watch it time and again. And if you have any contradictions to that, do tell us on the chat section. Apart from that, we have the Europa Leagues as well, where the likes of Ajax and Frankfurt are going to get those matches, as well as Real Sociedad and Manchester United are also going to have those matches. What is that which is going to happen in the Europa League, in the Champions League? But Real Madrid, guys, all the Los Blancos fans, welcome your arms and come straight for a big hug. Keep going, guys. Bye-bye. Real Madrid.